Nerve Gorilla. I've been around here on the internet since 1995 or so. I know exactly how it works. And there's always been scammers on the internet. But it wasn't until kind of recently, YouTube and shit monetization, that we've had a huge influx of them. One of them, of course, being police activity. And I know I don't like talking about people. I'd rather talk to them directly. And this police activity guy is yet another scammer in a long list of fucking scammers. And he's trying to prevent me from calling him a scammer by reporting my posts about him. I'm a big fan of telling the truth, and, I expose these fucking people all over the internet. He's not the only one I've exposed. And he's trying to report my posts for bullying or harassment. So apparently it's bullying and harassment to tell the truth about scammers on the internet. Now, what do I mean by scammers? Well, police activity takes videos from the internet that were released by police officers and police precincts, and he puts his watermark on it. He edits the video in some way. A lot of times he takes some parts out, puts his watermark on it, and uploads it to his channel and begs for money. He doesn't do anything but do that. He makes the video quality worse by re-encoding it, and he knows exactly what I'm talking about right now. He'll never take an interview with me. So that's the way these scammers work. They take video they obviously don't own, publicly owned police body cam video, and they put their watermark on it and they pretend that they own it. Nobody seems to call these guys out on it ever. I don't know why. But if you read their comments on their channel, you see a lot of hoodwinked people who think that they're doing a favor for somebody. No, you're not. You're just re-uploading somebody else's videos. So I want to interview these guys. Voice chat open. I want to hold these people's feet to the fire, but they're never going to allow that to happen. In fact, they'd rather try to silence me. Well, you can't really silence me because I'll just make my own website and fucking destroy them there, where I can say anything I want on my website. So police activity, I would advise that you come and take a voice interview if I'm wrong. If you want to sit here and think that I'm wrong and that this is bullying and harassment, I urge you, I fucking implore you to take a voice interview with me. On Discord, you can find me as Nerve Gorilla, the same as my YouTube channel name, or my YouTube channel name is Nerve, but it's called Nerve Gorilla. No spaces, no periods. And I know what I'm talking about, and I'm almost never wrong. I could be wrong about some things, but I encourage people. I seem to be the only person on the whole fucking internet who encourages people to come at me and, hash it out with me verbally in voice chat, not text, not reporting. Come and talk to me. So that's exactly what you're doing. You're a scumbag. You delete controversial videos that risk getting your channel deleted because you care more about money than disseminating these police videos. Not that you're doing a good job or anything. You just happen to have a lot of subscribers. And the people who actually put the material out are the police officers themselves. They have Facebook websites now. They have their own YouTube channels. Sometimes a police video will be posted in a news article, and the video itself will be unlisted on YouTube. And so this guy is subscribed to all that shit, and he probably has it set up to automatically download these videos. But he's not doing anything unique. But he's expecting people to give him money. Now that's fucking scamming, dude. And here's the thing that also makes it even worse. This cocksucker isn't even telling the source of where he's getting these videos because he doesn't want anybody to see an unmolested, untouched video. He wants to pretend that he is the one who got the video first and released it to everybody, even though he isn't. He's a liar. And now he's reported me for harassment and bullying. And of course, I don't give a shit about that. I'm just letting people know that there's a lot of people like this. It's par for the course on the internet these days. But he knows just as well as I do, that most people are not critical thinkers. And they can't really understand the internet. They don't understand the internet. They don't know how it works. And they just see some fucker on YouTube begging for money and they think that's the thing to do. It isn't the thing to do. It's a violation of the spirit of the internet to fucking beg for money. Especially on shit that you don't even own, dude. And if you think that you own videos on the internet, dude, oh man, I want to talk to you too. There's a lot of people out there who think they own videos, and I want to talk to them. They don't fundamentally understand the internet. So if I'm wrong, Mr. Police Activity, I want to talk to you. I'm right here, one click away, or you can add me on Discord, Nerve Gorilla. So I'm going to wait around and see if you have the fucking guts to come and have a conversation with me. And if you report this video, I'm going to be uploading it to my YouTube channel, another one, or up to my website, which I have many of. And there's nothing you can do about that because there's no report button on my websites. Yeah, because I'm hosting them myself, dumbass. You're not going to fucking silence me. You're not going to stop me. I'm going to say what I fucking want, and I'm going to verbally fucking destroy you. You're not going to scam people out of their money. And if I have to alert anybody commenting on your channel, I will. And if you think I can't automate that, I fucking can. Try me, dude. I'll let your fucking little audience know that there's better sources than you for police body cam footage. The complete, unmolested video with no stupid watermarks. What are you doing ruining videos, dude? You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I would never do that. Never. It's fucking egregious. So I'm going to listen to my own little audiobook while I wait for you to step up to the plate, because you're never going to do it. But I might as well. I thought, in the interest of fairness, I'll give you the opportunity to, hit that little link there. It's not a trap, if you know anything about the internet. It's a fucking WebRTC, real-time voice communication, in that Jitsi Meet link. That's what it is. It's Jitsi Meet. It's free, and it's self-hosted, and it also has encryption, so the police can't hear us.
End-to-end encryption is on.
Yeah, that's what it is. We can enable that if we have to. Do we have to?
End-to-end encryption is off.
All right. So I'm just going to go on about my business, and I'm going to listen to an audiobook. And I can get into this more deeply, but that's if anybody is curious on knowing what the fuck is going on. Like, how the hell, what do you mean that some guy can re-upload videos and then beg for money for it? Well, they can get away with it for so long until, maybe society starts realizing that these guys are fucking scammers. That they think they deserve money for pressing upload and ruining videos. As I said, they not only ruin the quality of these videos, but they put a watermark on them, dude. 20 years from now, nobody's going to know who police activity is. So what the fuck is he doing? Ruining videos. I encourage people to download the raw videos from the police departments directly and save it on your hard drives and watch those versions, not the molested version with stupid fucking watermarks that ruin it. God, that's embarrassing. I would never do that. Even if I own the video, I would never fucking watermark it. It's such a slap in the face. All these fucking cell phone people on the internet. You guys know how I feel about cell phones and all these brand new people to the internet who don't understand this place.
From a curve of diminishing or...
Now, I want to say that I am targeting scammers for elimination. No, that's not a threat. It's not a physical elimination. It means verbal.
Or even
just like my boy Steven Pinker here says in this book, Better Angels of Our Nature, where they target bullying for elimination.
Reversing returns. Children are not allowed to be outside in the middle of the day, skin cancer, to play in the grass, deer ticks, to buy lemonade from a stand, bacteria on lemon peel, or to lick cake batter off spoons, salmonella from uncooked eggs. Lawyer-vetted playgrounds have had their turf padded with rubber, their slides and monkey bars lowered to waist height, and their seesaws removed altogether, so that the kid at the bottom can't jump off and watch the kid at the top come hurtling to the ground, the most fun part of playing on a seesaw. When the producers of Sesame Street issued a set of DVDs containing classic programs from the first years of the series, 1969 through 74, they included a warning on the box that the shows were not suitable for children. The programs showed kids engaging in dangerous activities like climbing on monkey bars, riding tricycles without helmets, wriggling through pipes, and accepting milk and cookies from kindly strangers. Censored altogether was Monster Piece Theater, because at the end of each episode, the ascotted, smoking-jacketed host, Alistair Cookie, played by Cookie Monster, gobbled down his pipe, which glamorizes the use of tobacco products and depicts a choking hazard. But nothing has transformed childhood as much as the risk of kidnapping by strangers, a textbook case in the psychology of fear. Since 1979, when 6-year-old Eitan Potts disappeared on his way to a school bus stop in Lower Manhattan, kidnapped children have riveted the nation's attention, thanks to 3 interest groups that are dedicated to sowing panic among the nation's parents. The grief-stricken parents of murdered children understandably want something good to come out of their tragedies, and several have devoted their lives to raising awareness of child abductions. One of them, John Walsh, campaigned to have photographs of missing children featured on milk cartons.
Oh, yeah. It's not just police activity, as I said earlier in my stream. Yeah, it's not. It's a lot of people. I said police activity is just one scammer, a long list of scammers. The other one is, what's his name? That lawyer guy. It starts with an M. I forget his name. I tried to interview that asshole some years back, and of course he ran screaming. They all run from interviews. Isn't that fucking interesting? None of them ever want to take an interview and have their feet held to the fire. They want to speak to you like one-way podium, which is, obviously a socially inept way of communicating with people. This one-way method of communication, I don't get it, dude. Because they feel safe in, their little safe space. They don't want any kind of criticism, no honesty. They want to squelch it. They want to censor it. So you're right. I mean, it's also the lawyer videos and the people who talk over interrogations. Like I was trying to watch some interrogations last night. One loser after the next is talking over interrogations. Hi, I want a raw interrogation video. Whether it's 1 hour long or 2 hours long, it doesn't matter. I want to hear the interrogation. I don't want to hear some guy cutting in. Yeah, this is the point where the guy lies his ass off and all right, here we go. And then he plays it for like 5 minutes. Yeah, so this is the point where shut up, dude. Why? I don't need your play-by-play crap. Get the fuck out of here. You e-begging egregious fucking YouTuber. Oh, I can't stand him. Can't fucking stand him. Just give me the raw data and get out of my fucking life. That's how people on YouTube should be, but they're not like that. They actually think they're funny. They think they're personalities and shit. They think they're fucking interesting, but they're not. They're scum. They're lower than whale dung scum.
And hosted a lurid television program, America's Most Wanted, which specialized in horrific kidnap murders. Politicians, police chiefs, and corporate publicists can speak English than ever. But in another of those historical gestalt shifts in which a category of violence flips from inevitable to intolerable, bullying has been targeted for elimination. The movement emerged from the ball of confusion surrounding the 1999 Columbine High School massacre, as the media amplified one another's rumors about the causes: goth culture, jocks, antidepressants, video games, internet use, violent movies, the rock singer Marilyn Manson, and one of them was bullying. As it turned out, the two assassins were not, as the media endlessly repeated, goths who had been picked on by jocks. But a popular understanding took hold that the massacre was an act of revenge, and childhood professionals parlayed the urban legend into a campaign against bullying. Fortunately, the theory, bully victim today, cafeteria sniper tomorrow, coexisted with more respectable rationales, such as that victims of bullies suffer from depression, impaired performance in school, and an elevated risk of suicide. Currently, 44 states have laws that prohibit bullying in school, and many have mandatory curricula that denounce bullying, encourage empathy, and instruct children in how to resolve their conflicts.
Yeah, if only we knew how to resolve conflicts. Oh, I don't know, like fucking voice chat. That's a pretty good start. How about we start there? Police activity. Let's resolve this. But no, he's going to keep reporting me as bullying and harassment, even though what I'm doing is I'm exposing his bullcrap. I don't want to talk about him. I want to talk to him. I want to talk to the scammers. I want to talk to the misinformation spreaders, dude. That's what I want to do. I don't like talking about people unless they run screaming from me, which most of them do. And I have to do a one-way video and fucking destroy them. I've done it so many times, dude. It's like, I haven't been wrong yet. I've destroyed these people and then they just go silent. That's what they do. These people who spread misinformation about whatever the topic might be, when I got them on my radar and I end up trying to talk to them and they run screaming, I make a video and then they go silent. They're really defiant when I come at them until I make a video. And then mysteriously they get fucking cricket. There's crickets riding tumbleweeds after I do that. But I don't want to make a video about this guy. I want to talk to him. As far as I know, I don't think he's ever been interviewed. Because he's probably a guy who doesn't even speak English, I bet. I bet he speaks with the duh. Instead of the, he probably says duh. Let's go to the store. He's probably one of those foreigners who talks like that. So he's just siphoning money from people, by pretending that he's releasing things when he isn't at all. So it's really just egregious. And people need to be critical thinkers and understand what's going on with this guy. He never cites his sources. He never links the sources for his videos. And that goes for any scammer on YouTube or anywhere else. So I'm targeting them for elimination. That's verbal, by the way, not physical. Don't take that as a threat, you dumb tards.
A chilling 20th century example was the targeting of homosexuals for elimination during the Holocaust. During the Enlightenment, the questioning of any moral precept that was based on visceral impulse or religious dogma led to a new look at homosexuality. Montesquieu and Voltaire argued that homosexuality should be decriminalized, though they didn't go so far as to say that it was morally acceptable. In 1785, Jeremy Bentham took the next step. Using utilitarian reasoning, which equates morality with whatever brings the greatest good to the greatest number, Bentham argued that there is nothing immoral about homosexual acts because they make no one worse off. Homosexuality was legalized in France after the Revolution and in a smattering of other countries in the ensuing decades. The movement picked up in the middle of the 20th century and blasted off in the 1970s and 1990s, as the gay rights movement was fueled by the ideal of human rights. Today, homosexuality has been legalized in almost 120 countries, though laws against it remain on the books of another 80, mostly in Africa, the Caribbean, Oceania, and the Islamic world. Worse, homosexuality is punishable by death in Mauritania, Saudi Arabia, Sudan, Yemen, parts of Nigeria, parts of Somalia, and all of Iran, despite, according to Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, not existing in that country. But the pressure is on. Every human rights organization considers the criminalization of homosexuality to be a human rights violation. And in 2008, in the UN General Assembly, 66 countries endorsed a declaration urging that all such laws be repealed. In a statement endorsing the declaration, Navanathan Pillai, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, wrote, "The principle of universality admits no exception. Human rights truly are the birthright of all human beings." The decriminalization of homosexuality began later in the United States. As late as 1969, homosexuality was illegal in every state but Illinois, and municipal police would often relieve their boredom on a slow night by raiding a gay hangout and dispersing or arresting the patrons, sometimes with the help of billy clubs. But in 1969, a raid of the Stonewall Inn, a gay dance club in Greenwich Village, set off 3 days of rioting and protest and galvanized gay communities throughout the country.
Oh, I remember that Stonewall incident. Yeah, that's when the gay people ran the cops off, dude. They just, I think, if I had the story right, I think God, I can't think of her name now from Wizard of Oz. Dorothy. What's her? I can't think of it right now, but I guess she died, and she was really loved by gay people for some reason. And I guess they were bummed out about that, and then the police come around and harass them. You're wearing too many articles of clothing, or not enough articles of clothing, and they had enough. And next thing you know, bats were materialized, and the police were chased out of there. I thought it was a pretty funny story at Stonewall in Greenwich Village.
Slow night by raiding a gay hangout and dispersing or arresting the patrons, sometimes with the help of billy clubs. But in 1969, a raid of the Stonewall Inn, a gay dance club in Greenwich Village, set off 3 days of rioting and protest and galvanized gay communities throughout the country to work to repeal laws that criminalized homosexuality or discriminated against homosexuals. Within a dozen years, almost half of American states had decriminalized homosexuality. In 2003, following another burst of decriminalizations, the Supreme Court overturned an anti-sodomy statute in Texas and ruled that all such laws were unconstitutional. In the majority opinion, Justice Anthony Kennedy invoked the principle of personal autonomy and the indefensibility of using government power to enforce religious belief and traditional customs. Liberty presumes an autonomy of self that includes freedom of thought, belief, expression, and certain intimate conduct. It must be acknowledged, of course, that for centuries there have been powerful voices to condemn homosexual conduct as immoral. The condemnation has been shaped by religious beliefs, conceptions of right and acceptable behavior, and respect for the traditional family. These considerations do not answer the question before us, however. The issue is whether the majority may use the power of the state to enforce these views on the whole society through operation of the criminal law. Between the first burst of legalization in the 1970s and the collapse of the remaining laws a decade and a half later, Americans' attitudes towards homosexuality underwent a sea change. The rise of AIDS in the 1980s mobilized gay activist groups and led many celebrities to come out of the closet, while others were outed posthumously. They included the actors John Gielgud and Rock Hudson, the singers Elton John and George Michael, the fashion designers Perry Ellis, Roy Halston, and Yves Saint Laurent, the athletes Billie Jean King and Greg Louganis, and the comedians Ellen DeGeneres and Rosie O'Donnell. Popular entertainers such as K.D. Lang, Freddie Mercury, and Boy George flaunted gay personas, and playwrights such as Harvey Fierstein and Tony Kushner wrote about AIDS and other gay themes in popular plays and movies. Lovable gay characters began to appear in...
I want to hear a little bit about that story. Yeah. I just want to hear that one more time. There was Phil Hendry had a kind of a funny monologue. So, let's see, quick synopsis, I guess, about what's going on. So the audio I'm about to play is the Phil Hendry show, but during the 90s or early 2000s, around there, I think it was the late 90s. Around July 99. Carell and Andrew were on KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk radio out of Los Angeles. They're an AM radio station, but people like Carell and Andrew, they were gay guys on the radio, which was kind of rare in those days. I know that wasn't all that long ago, but apparently they were pretty entertaining, and I think eventually Carell died or Andrew died. One of them died, and I don't know, kind of went downhill after that or something. But Phil followed their show. So I think Carell and Andrew like second shift, and Phil came on towards the end of the night, whatever. But they were talking to each other as they were doing the shift change. And so this is what I'm going to listen to real quick, because they talk about the Stonewall again.
We are not prepared.
I'm going to play a little bit of it.
It was
just
a
little bit of it.
Where a lot of gay men were hanging out.
Oh, He's still calling us a tramp.
Yeah, I just sort of, you guys mentioned Stonewall the other night.
Yeah.
You didn't mention Judy. Did you mention Judy Garland?
Well, her death. Well, we didn't actually get into the Stonewall. Right. We didn't get into what Stonewall was, but...
It was a bar where a lot of gay men were hanging out.
Oh, it's a tacky drag queen bar that was filled with drag queens and lesbians.
And the cops went over the line. Judy Garland's funeral had been just a few hours before, and the cops went, as they usually did each night, to harass the gays.
Right.
And that particular night they said, you know what, you picked the wrong night.
Yep. Exactly.
And they started setting fire to cop cars, and it was a beautiful thing.
And since you brought this up, might I say...
Mike Closure does not know the history of this. This actually happened.
Might I actually add here, since you brought this up, and this is something that we normally wouldn't talk about, in the gay community, drag queens are often frowned upon.
Yeah.
Drag queens are the ones who started the Stonewall riots.
Yeah.
They are the ones who went out and actually took on the police. The people that couldn't hide in the closet are the ones who fought for it because they couldn't hide. So God bless.
Yeah, exactly.
God bless RuPaul.
One of them was heard to say, running down the street, free my people.
Yes.
And
let my people go.
let go of my dress. Yeah. So that's what happened. And Crozier's sitting there going, you're bull crapping, man.
No.
That's exactly what happened.
And I know it sounds stereotypical, but it was Judy that pushed us over the edge.
Well, the funeral had attracted thousands of people, Judy Garland, and everybody was mourning her death. And in this particular part of Greenwich Village, you got what I'm speaking for you guys. Well, I guess I will.
Yes.
Because there's a little bit of gay in all of us.
Yeah,
at least I had a dream like it last night. And so
you're tiring me,
and every single weekend, the cops would harass these bars.
And you know why? You know how they busted them? Because there was a law that said, even in California, you had to be wearing 2 articles of clothing specific to your gender. And they would make the drag queens go and strip to make sure they were wearing 2 articles of clothing specific to male gender. And if they weren't, they would arrest them.
Yeah. You know what happened to me in high school? I had long hair in the days of long hair when I was in high school, and we had to weigh in at the beginning of every year in PE. And the only thing we could wear was a jock strap. And we had a
exciting high school you had.
To weigh in, we had to wear a jock strap because they wanted to know how much you weigh and how much does those jock strap weigh, Bing? How many of you got in your closet? So I walked up there, and I had the shoulder length hair. We had a gym teacher named P.J. Duffy Lewis, this big bad guy. And pulls my jock out, looks down in it, and says, "Yep, it's a boy," and snaps it back in.
You weren't wearing 2 articles of clothing specific to your gender.
Exactly.
Bill Henry.
Nice lockout there. Phil Henry Show, KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk radio. Dallas, Texas, a 7-year-old Dallas boy was copying a move in a televised pro wrestling event, and he killed his 3-year-old. Wrong word. He's a big guy, okay? That's about as butch as he gets. He's big, all right? The rest of it, how could he ever been in a closet anyplace? Were you ever in a closet anywhere, Carell, at any time, even to get your coat and hat? But at least those guys are out, as opposed to some people who still try to play that game. Now, they were talking about Stonewall, and I think it bears mentioning, because they can't talk about it. If Carell and Andrew get on the air and start talking about Stonewall, everybody starts saying things, oh, there are a couple of fags, they're talking about Stonewall. This is exactly what we expected. They can't get off the gay issues. Why do they have to keep banging those gay issues? Yada, yada, yada. Well, here I am, straight Phil. I got a wife and 4 stepkids. At least it makes it look like I'm straight. And I can talk a little bit about that. Because I know they wanted to mention it was the anniversary of Stonewall just a few days ago. I think it was Monday. Was the anniversary of Stonewall. Do you know what that is? Of course you don't. It is a significant moment in the history of gay men and lesbians in this country, specifically gay men. And here's what happened. Judy Garland died. And she died 1969, very young, as a matter of fact. How old was Judy Garland? She was like in her 40s or something, 45 or 46. And they had her funeral in New York City. And it was around the block, man. I mean, I don't know the cathedral they had it in, but it was around, the lines were around the block. Thousands and thousands of people turned out, many of them gay people, turned out for the funeral of Judy Garland. They were mourning Judy Garland. Now, I do not profess to understand the affinity that many gay men have for show tunes or Judy Garland, but some of the explanation can be found in the fact that she was sort of an outcast. She was a person who battled the system. She was a young woman in the star system of Hollywood who was kept down. They filled her full of pills and booze, and she was sort of on the outside looking in a lot in her life. And I think that there's an identity going on there, okay? Now, what that's got to do with show tunes, maybe all those folks in musicals are on the outside looking in. All those guys in, Oklahoma, you're singing that, man. You're on the outside looking in. You're running around with the Surrey and the Fringe on top, and you ain't exactly mainstream. So, Judy Garland dies, and the gay men of New York were in mourning. They were sad, and they all retreated to the various watering holes in Greenwich Village, where much of the gay population of New York at that time called home, and I guess still does. So in the village, they're boozing it up. And what was a very, very commonplace tactic, a commonplace occurrence in those days, not only in New York but all over America, all over the world, is the cops regularly rousted gay bars. They regularly went in and busted the fags. They regularly went in and ran homosexuals in. It was against the law to be a homosexual. It was against the law. They would take you in, and there was a time when they subjected gay people to all kinds of horrible experimentation and torture, literally. So the cops go into this bar in Greenwich Village called the Stonewall Bar. And here are a lot of very bereaved people standing around. They're upset. They're a little bit pissed off because, these weekly rousts by the cops got to be a pain in the ass. And here come the coppers in there to start busting the fags. And that night was a bad night for the cops because they were already, as I said, bereaved over the death of Judy Garland. They were a little bit antsy. The dress wasn't fitting right that night, whatever the hell the problem was. And as Carell mentioned, when they were going off the air, a lot of these were drag queens hanging around in there. A lot of pretty good-looking guys hanging around, having themselves a cocktail there. And here come the cops. And somebody, I don't know who, but it was probably a guy in a dress, said, you know what? Not tonight, pal. And they started roughing the cops up. I don't know exactly who threw the first punch, but somebody busted a bar stool over somebody's head, and the coppers retreated out of the bar. All of the guys poured out of the bar, started rocking the police cars back and forth, started busting windows, and ran the cops right the hell out of Greenwich Village. And there's a lot of other things that go along with it. I think a few of the cops got roughed up. A couple of guys brought out some baseball bats, and some people got their heads bashed in, most of them cops. And one of the things that happened after Stonewall is that whole sissy, that sissy idea of gay guys being sissified and limp-wristed and they can't defend themselves and they're not real men, that went by the boards. You got a guy there in a dress, baby, with a baseball bat, cracking some cop's head open. All of that sissy jazz went out the window, and suddenly they realized they were in a little bit of a fight to the death, and they had better get their, blue uniforms the hell out of Greenwich Village. That's what happened. So a couple of things came out of that. Number one, the attitude and image of gay men being this kind of limp-wristed, sissified bunch of guys that couldn't defend themselves. That went by the boards. And the other thing was the gay movement in America became militant. There was an organization, in fact, that was born out of that very briefly called the Gay Liberation Front. They became very militant, very, very out, and very much in the face of America after many years in the closet, hiding in the bar rooms, hiding under the bar stools, and hiding under hiding in the coat rack there. They came out of the closet, they came out loud and proud and all of that stuff, and that was Stonewall. And if you are at all, a student of American history, which I am, that's the kind of history you don't read about. You're not going to read that. You think you can see that in a school book? You're not going to see that in a school book because I guess the attitude still is don't popularize. I'd like to know I'm a big fan of history, and I want to know what the thinking is behind not telling people certain aspects of history. What does that mean? What does that mean when you hide a historical event from people? Can you tell me? If you're a teacher, or if you're a student, or if you're a parent, what exactly is the message when you say, I know it happened, I don't want to tell anybody about it? It's fascism, isn't it? No, I don't want to get to, okay, so maybe that's extreme. Maybe that's in point of fact what it is, but maybe it's extreme. But it's a thought control. It is a kind of ministry of propaganda thought control where this happened, this is an event, this really took place, but we don't want to put it in a history book. We don't want to tell anybody about it. It's the same thing that happened with the 442, which is the Go for Broke division, Japanese-American soldiers in World War II who kicked more German ass than anybody else. Did you hear about that in your school? No. These were Japanese-American soldiers who went over to Italy, just ran the Krauts right out of Italy. They were decorated from here to there. These guys were probably the most decorated battalion in World War II. You know anything about them? Of course you don't. Why? Because the Japs. Same thing with the tankers, the black African-American tankmen who liberated a couple of concentration camps in Europe. Patton called them the best tankmen he ever saw. Did you read about that in history? Of course you didn't. Why? They're black. They're coons. Those guys aren't supposed to be able to drive tanks. A couple of their members won the Congressional Medal of Honor, for God's sake, but you can't find out about that. Nobody's going to put that in a history book because blacks, Japs, and fags cannot be a part of American history. It just ain't the way it's supposed to work. But, as a fan of history and as a guy that reads a hell of a lot of history, I like to know the whole story, baby. I want it up one side and down the other. I want to know how it all happened. And I want to read this. And I want to know where I can go to find it. And I don't want to have to go to some dungeon bookstore someplace and dig around in some old dusty manuscripts with coffee stains on them to find it. So the answer is put it in a history book that everybody can read. How about a textbook? How about one the kids read? No, you can't do that. Why? Fag. But that's a part of American history. It happened. And I got a big news flash for you. You can't lie about it forever. Now, there's an old saying, the history books are written by the winners. What that means is whoever wins the wars, whoever is the dominant faction in any culture, he's the guy that gets to tell the story of that society, and generally it's a bunch of crap. So you really have to run around trying to find the truth. Well, we know what the truth is, so why can't we read about it? You don't read about it because, hey, nobody wants to know the history of fags in this country is something that no one needs to know?
Well, so this was in 1999. Obviously, we had the internet in 99. I was around in 99. But his argument doesn't really hold anymore just because we have access to so much more information these days. And that, once again, to circle it back to my whole point of streaming today, there's a lot of scammers out there, and you have to be a critical thinker. You have to be a skeptical thinker, and it's not a skill that we're born with. It is a learned skill. And the best place, I'll tell you where the best place that you can learn this skill of critical thinking is. It's a book, a single book released in 1996 by Dr. Carl Sagan, who is an astronomer. Yes, an astronomer, very good at critical thinking. But he teaches you in his book called The Demon-Haunted World, Science as a Candle in the Dark. It's the best book I ever fucking read in my life. And that's why, that I can call these people out because I know exactly what they're doing. One, because I've been on the internet so long, I know how it fucking works and I understand it. Two, I know just from experience that this is what these people do. There's more and more scammers out there, and I just hate that people are being taken. I mean, why the fuck? Let me give you a quick example of my own little website here. So I'm just going to minimize this other one here. Let's minimize this shit. I've talked about this before, maybe not on this channel, but this is one of my websites. Let me go to movies here, and let me scroll down. And it looks like some sort of a Netflix or something, right? Well, it's not Netflix. I call it Nerflix, actually. I call it Nerflix because it's my own website. If I go to the dashboard right here on the top left, that's what it says right there, Nerflix. That's what I call it. It's my own personal self-hosted website for my media that is accessible from anywhere on the internet. Anywhere in the world that I am, I can watch all my movies, including, even though I'm not a fan of this new Deadpool fucking movie, whatever the hell. I guess some people like it or something. I don't know. I'm not a comics fan.
I am the man.
That's not.
But this is it.
Behold! Now Disney gets cheap? It's
Oh, let me increase the quality. There we go. Let me crank it up to 4K. There we go.
like Pinocchio.
You know, the funny thing is...
So I wouldn't watch a movie on my browser. I wouldn't. I'd be watching a media player. But it's like, you know, obviously I know what I'm doing when it comes to this stuff. You know, why the fuck would I give Netflix money or Amazon or Spotify or anything else like that when I can download and own the shit myself? That audiobook I was playing was right here from my own website that I play audiobooks from. My website. I own these audiobooks.
Romantic comedies and in sitcoms.
So I hit play. I'm going to save this bookmark right here. And you'll see bookmark added. These are my fucking books. I have over 1,100 of them so far, and I'm getting more every day. I'm a collector. So speaking of history, we have access to so much more information these days. There's no reason to fucking be hoodwinked by these egregious, big mouth, e-begging YouTubers. Don't give anyone money on the internet unless you're ordering a physical product that comes in the fucking mail. Don't pay for digital crap. Don't give money to people who upload shit to the internet. They don't fucking deserve it. Why? Because we've been doing that since the beginning. How do you think the internet got shit on there in the first place? We little fucking computer nerds like me, we put shit up there and made it available for people. That's what we did. And we don't charge money for that. That's just something humans do. We innately share. That's what we do. We don't fucking put shit on the internet that somebody else owns and then have our hand out and beg for money for it. That's a fucking violation. And that's what police activity does and many other people do. And I'm just sick of fucking people, everybody just saying, oh, he uploaded something to the internet. Let's give him money. No, you dumb tards. No. We do this shit for free. Anyway, I gotta go. I'm gonna go to the store and buy a physical product, a battery backup, so that if my power goes out, that I'll still have internet. My computers will remain on for at least 35 more minutes. That's called a UPS. All right, bye.